ever, spent a whole Saturday agonizing over how to gracefully exit a relationship without hurting anyone's feelings? I know I absolutely have. You dive into these books on how to make friends and influence people forever, and you end up trying to create what basically feels like a highly polished corporate slide deck for a strategic, emotional evacuation. But let's be real here. Those strategies, they're usually about as helpful as a screen door on a submarine. So that brings us to a really massive question. Do you actually owe them a rescue? If you're feeling weighed down by endless social obligations, trust me, you are not alone. I recently came across this little orange-spined paperback that literally sneers at the whole traditional premise of self-improvement. It offers this totally liberating alternative instead, dedicating an entire chapter to repairing relationships that you don't actually want to save. So let's just dive right into it.
Section 1. The Relationship Rescue Myth.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it contrasts our expectations with reality. If you scroll through literally any relationship forum online, you're going to see the exact same headings every single time, right? How do I rebuild my marriage? Or how do I win my best friend back? We've got this massive, exhausting societal assumption that we just have to rebuild and fix things at all costs. But the reality? Well, it's kind of like paying for a buy one, get one sale where one of the items is completely toxic. It's this emotional bargain that honestly just leaves you drained and dragging around a ton of extra baggage. Which leads us perfectly to this incredibly brilliant quote from the author. Guilt is the janitor of potential. I mean, just think about that imagery for a second. Guilt basically sweeps up all the good stuff, but it leaves behind a total mess that just smells like regret. We always get this little whisper in our heads telling us that we owe it to the other person to keep trying, but actually, scratch that, that whisper isn't some beacon of moral duty, it's literally just a dusty broom. And the absolute best part, you do not actually have to pull that broom out of the closet. Section 2. Guilt and unfinished drafts. So, the crucial point is that we need to completely reframe how we view connections that simply do not pan out the way we hoped. Listen, not every single relationship is a project that's meant to be completed. Some relationships are, quite honestly, just unfinished drafts. They're bright ideas that simply never made it to the final edit. And you know what? Ending things cleanly, without all the heavy melodrama, is actually its own kind of repair. You aren't fixing the relationship itself, you're fixing your relationship to the relationship. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. Imagine you're babying a plant for years. You're watering it daily, talking to it, consulting all the gardening manuals, but it never ever grows past a wilted little sprout. One day you just stop. You leave it on the windowsill. Accepting that it was never going to be a mighty oak tree isn't giving up. It's actually honoring what it is, rather than exhausting yourself over what you wished it could be.
Section 3. Gentle Disengagement in Practice.
Let's move to and see how this builds into real life, because to be crystal clear, this is not just an instruction manual for polite ghosting. The author shares this fantastic anecdote about a guy who spent literally years refereeing his mother's weekly Sunday dinner arguments. So step 1, he finally sends a simple calendar invite titled Family Dinner Declined. Step 2, his aunt emails him asking if he's okay, adding that the family's really gonna miss his gentle presence. Step 3, he replies super clearly that his presence isn't the problem, the constant arguments are. And step 4, the aunt simply replies, noted. That's it. No massive explosions, no dramatic monologues, just a straightforward email chain ending a toxic dynamic with mutual understanding and zero melodrama. Section 4. Closing the chapter gently. Okay, let's guide this into a final perspective shift on preserving your own energy and emotional well-being. Because listen, you do not owe every relationship a rescue attempt. That line just lands like a well-timed punchline when you realize that, hey, you might have been living your whole life like the star of a reality show called Relationship Rescue. But here's the honest truth. That show was never even on the air. It's a complete myth. It was just a performance you built and executed entirely for an audience of one, your own guilty conscience. And you can end things without destroying everything around you. Like the book insists, you can absolutely end a chapter gently. You just dust it off, return it to the shelf with a polite little thank you for reading, and whatever you do, don't burn the whole library down in the process. This isn't about becoming a total recluse who bails at the very first sign of trouble, right? It's really just about self-awareness. It's about admitting that we all have a strictly limited amount of emotional bandwidth. Pouring all of that precious, hard-earned energy into a cracked vase that is never, ever gonna hold water is just a complete waste. Taking this right back to our daily lives, there is genuine, real dignity in simply saying, I'm done. Like, it is perfectly